Hello, everybody. Long time no see. Again. Jesus Christ. I'm getting more views than I've had in months. And what do? Not upload shit. What an asshole thing of me to do. Especially after reaching 1,000 subs. Shout out to the demonic notification squad. Fucking legends, all of you. What a milestone. It's not the numbers that matter to me, though. It's the community I have. I love the people who frequent my channel and always have something to add. I love that I've cultivated an organic fan base that cares about what I think enough to show up for anything I upload. That's a dream come true. See, I've mostly been the quiet kid in school. I never talked to anybody I didn't already know. I grew up in a glorified shack in the middle of nowhere, completely isolated from anyone my age. Both of my parents worked, especially my dad, who I almost never saw because he was too busy making sure we all had a roof over our heads. All I had was my music and my video games to keep boredom and depression at bay, which probably explains why they're both my greatest passions in life. Mostly explains my crippling social awkwardness as well. The point is, I'm used to not even being noticed at all in a crowd. It seems like my place in life. It seemed like my place in life that I would just never be anything. Truth be told, I mostly got my bachelor's degree in English because I wanted to be the next Stephen King. I shit you not. I thought that would be the thing that finally makes me worth something in this cruel world. After that didn't work out the way I wanted, I was destined to just I don't know, drift through the void and just do enough to get by, keep all my ideas in my head, and just be perfectly unexceptional. But that didn't really happen here on YouTube. And I've got to say, it's helped my confidence and charisma as a person. I might not always upload on time, but my passion for this channel is still strong, and I ain't going anywhere anytime soon. That's enough shit about me. I'm not about depressing people. I'm all about an aversion to misery and anger. Let's talk instead about how Joe Rogan can't get a break. This man has been buried up to his eyeballs in shit from every side of the aisle. Left, right, center, mainstream media, non-mainstream media. Joe can't catch a break. Not that I feel too bad for him. I mean, dude has more money than I have skin cells. I'm sure he'll be just fine. You don't have to go far for a Joe Rogan hot take. It seems like everybody has a strong opinion of the man, both shining praise and ruthless hatred. Both sides of which I understand. The left is mad at him for promoting anti-vaxxers, and yeah, that's pretty bad. But there's also a push to get him off of Spotify from people like Neil Diamond. Oh boy. And well, the right is mad because everyone is shouting the magic words, cancel culture, culture. And, well, they're half right. Oh God. This is going to be a long and convoluted video, so strap in. I'm very rarely a both sides are valid kind of person. I believe that, for most issues, you have to take a side. Most issues have no effective compromise. But I take a different approach when it comes to assessing people, especially people who are as influential as Joe Rogan. I don't think you truly understand how influential Joe Rogan really is. He gets, on average, 10 million viewers per episode. That rivals mainstream media in terms of reach and influence, even surpasses it in many cases. This is both a good and a bad thing that I will explain later. If somehow you aren't aware of what Joe Rogan does, he hosts a podcast called The Joe Rogan Experience. It is essentially a podcast in which Joe Rogan interviews and conversates with guests. His guests have always been an endless well of controversy, most of which are coming from the alt-right ass clowns like gay conversion therapy believer Milo Yiannopoulos, Sandy Hook denier Alex Jones, political ass clown Ben Shapiro, dishonest Dr. Jordan Peterson, classically liberal lunatic Dave Rubin, and let's not forget the world's biggest Trump-tard Tim Pool. There are a lot more, but you get the point. This has led to a lot of accusations of Joe Rogan being alt-right from the left in general. An accusation I entirely understand if this is all the information you had on Joe Rogan, but here's why I disagree with that assessment. Joe Rogan has had plenty of instances where these alt-right fucks would talk, right? and it would sound like he agrees with them at some points. But before you come to any conclusions off of that, it's important to understand that Joe Rogan is not Vosh. Not even close. Both of them are vastly different in knowledge and understanding of social issues. I mean, people tend to criticize Joe Rogan for, like, not debunking their opinions at all. And it's like, well, expecting Joe Rogan to debunk and, like, aggressively argue with these guys it's just kind of silly, to be honest. Joe Rogan is a comedian more than anything. You're kind of expecting him to do something that he's in no way equipped to do. Does that excuse him from responsibility? No, absolutely not. But, Jesus Christ. Fuck, just follow me for a bit. This shit is hard to explain, alright? I think it's important to note that Joe Rogan on several occasions has argued directly with his guests.
Everywhere that doesn't have a strong Christian heritage is a fucked up place with bad morals.
That's a ridiculous statement. That's a ridiculous statement. Everywhere that doesn't have Judeo-Christian values is a fucked up place.
I think that, yes, I think it should be perfectly reasonable, respectable thing to say that our culture is better. I believe our culture is better than everywhere else in the world.
Culture of Christians.
I think
Christians are running around doing ketamine and fucking each other.
European and American culture, which is based on Judeo-Christian values, is better than other cultures. I think it's uncontroversial to say so.
He's not just an empty vessel like many people accuse him of. He's not just an empty vessel with no opinions at all. I think it was evident in one of his episodes with Ben Shapiro and even one with Milo Yiannopoulos. If I have clips, I'll show them, but if I don't, sorry. But I can assure you that Joe Rogan doesn't always agree with the people he has on his show. What I think the left is most afraid of is that Joe Rogan might become the next Dave Rubin, somebody who claims to be on the left, but shits on them from every angle and props up every conservative to a ludicrous degree. I can understand this fear. But consider this. Joe Rogan has had many guests from the left on his show. Yeah, he has. Many of which are progressives. The immortal Bernie Sanders, the immovable object Cornel West, Anna Kasparian of Young Turks fame, the strong UBI advocate Andrew Yang, Kyle Kulinski from Secular Talk, who is a prominent independent and progressive. I guarantee you there's plenty more than just that. Joe Rogan is one of those people who, when he says he's open to all sides, he actually means it. And this is by far the biggest thing I admire about him. Not just as an entertainer, but as a person too. I actually do aspire to be like that. That's the whole reason my format is the way it is. I'm not about ignorant hatred. I'm about intelligent hatred. I don't care whether or not you like Joe Rogan. You can think he's a genius or a babbling moron. Both of those positions are valid in certain cases, but it's the ignorant hatred towards him that I don't like. Case in point, you might have seen the N-word supercut by now. Yeah, Joe said the N-word, hard ER, quite a lot of times. That would make you look pretty bad. That can make you look pretty bad. However, does this mean he's racist? This is a position from the left that I can't really say I'm on board with. The whole idea that saying the N-word is completely unacceptable, it's like completely off limits to say, no matter what, you can't say the N-word without being racist. Well, no, that simply isn't true. No word should be off limits. It really helps nobody in the end. I mean, is it bad optics on Rogan's part? Oh, hell yeah, there's no denial there. But the whole N-word saga thing is dumb. You can say the N-word and not be racist at all. Don't ask me to say it, but when you just show someone this N-word thing out of context, it's easy to say that Joe is a bad guy. But what I'm asking is, what is the context of any of those conversations? Even just one of them. That's what I care about above all else. Joe Rogan is a man who's in the public eye constantly. People like that are incredibly easy to make look bad, especially when you're being dishonest on purpose. And that's what I think this is. People who already hate Joe Rogan and have already determined that they hate him, and they're just going to try to make him look bad. A lot of them tend to be people who don't even really watch the show either, which is, yeah, dishonest. How many episodes does he have where he doesn't say the N-word, not even once? Probably a lot. Probably just as many as the ones he does. It's just blatant dishonesty. The shit's in my cereal. Maybe it's just me, but I think making words off limits is more detrimental than helpful. Think about how you deal with children, for instance. What happens when you tell a kid not to do something? If it's kind of fun, like saying a big naughty bad word, they're gonna do it because it gets a reaction. When you go out of your way to say that the N-word is off limits, it'll be a way for your opponent to get at you. People naturally aren't a big fan of being told what to do, so they're gonna defy you. Conservatives have played this game forever, and the reason it's effective is because they can successfully paint the left as like a bunch of oversensitive crybabies who just want to determine what you can and can't say. And from the outside looking in, that's exactly what it looks like. Optics are everything, and the left keeps shooting themselves in the foot. And that's the only reason conservatives have a chance in hell of winning an election. Is racism bad? Obviously yes. Should it be acceptable? Hell fucking no, it shouldn't be. Absolutely not. But again, is just saying the N-word racist? George Carlin actually had one really good bit about this, where he made a good point.
For instance, you take the word nigger. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the word nigger in and of itself. It's the racist asshole who's using it that you ought to be concerned about. We don't care when Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy say it. Why? Because we know they're not racist. They're niggers. Context. Context.
He said the N-word, at the end of the day, is a word. It can be used by a racist asshole. It could be used to show hatred towards a group of people. But what about just saying the word, this collection of syllables? What about saying that is racist? Nothing. Because all that matters is how you use it, not the word by itself. Point is, the left should seriously stop dying on this hill. The N-word hill, I guess. You're hurting yourself more than you're hurting your opposition. The fuck was I talking about again? Oh, right, Joe Rogan. Speaking of the left shooting themselves in the foot, there has been a serious effort to get Rogan off of Spotify. You might have seen the whole Neil Diamond threatening to take his music off of Spotify. He's not even the only one either. This comes right after Joe having some prominent anti-vax doctors on his podcast. Of course, the virus is a super contentious topic right now, and I'm sure you guys already know my opinions on anti-vaxxers. Just in case you don't, I think the majority of them are irrational people with a horrifically flawed understanding of medical science and enjoy peddling their ignorance to anybody who will listen. Some of you might remember earlier in the year that Joe Rogan also thought he contracted COVID and he tried ivermectin and other wacky shit. Everything instead of the vaccine. This, of course, founded many valid feelings that Joe is an anti-vaxxer. For as much as I like Joe Rogan, I can't defend this idiotic decision not even for a second. What the serious fuck were you thinking, bro? But to all the people who feel like Neil Diamond right now, all I have to say is, I'm not sure what you guys are trying to accomplish getting Rogan, taken off of Spotify. Really think about it here. What is the end game? If you have a casual understanding of Rogan's content, you would know the guy is a former comedian, former host of the Fear Factor, not X Factor, that's different, turned podcaster. I mean, who's going to this place for medical advice? I hope to God nobody's going to the Joe Rogan Experience for medical advice. But that's the problem, front and center, I suppose, that I mentioned earlier. I've criticized every celebrity for misusing their level of influence on everyday people. There's actually a tweet from Brie Larson promoting NFTs as well. Jesus fucking Christ. But anyway, this is not about Brie Larson, this is about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is not an exception. Whether it's done intentionally or on accident, the result is the same. Joe, whether he wanted to be or not, is a large influence on a new generation. There are lots of young kids who get a lot of their opinions and viewpoints from this show. Their entire understanding of sensitive social issues and minority groups come from this show. Joe Rogan is far from a perfect person. He doesn't know everything. He does have a bad tendency of platforming people with shitty opinions. I'm not the biggest fan of that, and I want to make that clear. But what exactly is the solution here, is my question. Taking him off of Spotify? What will this solve? I think this goes back to my N-word discussion earlier. If you make the subject taboo, people are just going to wonder why it's so bad. They'll start to think, man, maybe this InfoWars guy actually has a point. If they're trying this hard to make him not speak, it must be the truth. That is how people think, unfortunately. Okay, let's just entertain some hypotheticals here. Even if you somehow did get him off of Spotify, what is that going to solve? Joe is just going to go somewhere else. He's one of the biggest public figures in the world. Some guys will gladly pay him $100 million for his content. $100 million. Getting rid of him is not going to work. It just isn't. You can't. Look, leftists, look, all my beautiful leftist audience out there. I'm assuming most of you are leftists, and that's okay. But listen to me. I'm not mad at you. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm just disappointed in you. I think you could be better. 10 out of 10 times, I will support the left over the fucking lunacy that passes for common sense in the GOP. You guys can win. That's the thing that makes me mad, if anything. You guys can win. You have all the popular opinions that most Americans agree with, Republicans included. Universal health care, universal background checks, Build Back Better, free nonviolent drug offenders. The list goes on. I mean, come on. You guys could blow the GOP out of the water for good. The only reason they have a chance is because you keep shooting yourselves in the foot over dumb shit like this. Just stop fighting the culture war. It's a war with no end. There's no end to this fighting. It's only going to keep going. It only exists to perpetuate itself. Don't fight against people. Fight for a better future. And culture will change with time. I'm Karina McDaniels. And I'm going to say the N-word right now. All right, I'm going to say it. Here comes the N-word. It's going to come. It's coming. I'm going to say it. Are you ready? You ready? Nicolas Cage. Love you. Bye.